Happy New Year, everyone! I'm missing Newport already. I talked about it being posh in my last video, but there seems to be much more to it. There's a sense of pride in keeping its affluent appearance. Just look at these glass windows, no watermark or dirt. That's a conscious effort. Newport is quite different from other American cities or towns that I've seen. It intrigues me. There are still so many historical places that I wish to see. I haven't even ventured out to Hazard Avenue. There's a mug in the souvenir store saying, "I winter in Newport." And being on foot for more than an hour, seeing fewer than 5 dog walkers, I understood why. For centuries, the rich and famous have built mansions here, have vacations here, in the summer, when the weather is nice. In winter, a lot of these attractions are closed for the season. But hey, I've already visited the Elms. If I managed one more at the Breakers, I'd consider it a win.
The people that came here and built all these mansions and these buildings had a lot of money, and a lot of them lived in other places. The Vanderbilts that owned this building lived in New York City. This was literally the house they came to in the summertime. They weren't even here in the winter. They didn't know Christmas and all this stuff we decorate now. The bigger areas like Boston, New York City, those are the people that ended up buying property, and they came. And then here, a lot of people came because they were together. They were wealthy, they could show each other how much money they had. And people in the day, when the Vanderbilts were alive, loved to impress others, and they would buy expensive things so they would get actual real ones.
Yes. I don't know if the Vanderbilts would approve of Christmas gnomes or these. Most of us would have known the name Vanderbilt as being an American legacy. The enormous wealth started with Cornelius Commodore Vanderbilt from railroads and shipping in the late 19th century. His ancestors were Dutch immigrants from a village named Bilt in Utrecht in the Netherlands. Hence the name Van der Bilt, from the Bilt. When the first family came to America around 1640, New York State was still known as New Netherlands. Don't worry, I'm not going to give a lecture, because if you look at the names of the male heirs, the number of Corneliuses and Williams is confusing. To include the spares, the daughters and the wives, is almost impossible. One person who's not unfamiliar with heirs and spares is the broadcast journalist Anderson Cooper. His mother, Gloria Vanderbilt, thank goodness, named him something other than Alfred. I'm going to use his book, Vanderbilt, to give us more context as we walk around this magnificent building. This is how Anderson Cooper described the Breakers. The sheer size of the Breakers is hard to contemplate. 70 rooms, comprising square footage better measured in acreage than in feet, nearly 3 times as big as the White House. In case you're wondering, where does the name The Breakers come from? This is why. It was built between 1893 and 95 near a cliff. The name represents the way the waves would crash on the cliffs at the bottom of the mansion. Obviously, they didn't come in the winter. Otherwise, it should have been renamed the Windy. Prepare to feast your eyes. I think Santa came down the chimney and was shocked by the richness of this place. What else could he possibly gift to the children living in this place? The breaker's original master is Cornelius Vanderbilt II, who looks very much like a young Rupert Everett. His portraits are in a number of rooms, like a king in the French or Italian palace that the breakers is modeled after. No wonder the TV drama The Gilded Age used their music room and the billiard room as film locations. It makes you a bit dizzy, doesn't it? I didn't know where to look. It truly is everything, everywhere, all at once. If Cornelius Vanderbilt II is the head of the family, we have to credit his wife, Alice, who also had the ambition to make a mark with their new money. Like what I said about streets in Newport, to keep a place as is, year after year, actually requires more than money. Behind all the cherubs, gold leaves, and perfectly painted blue skies was rivalry, even with the sister-in-law. In Alice's case, Alva, wife of William K. Vanderbilt, who built the nearby Marble House.
Marble House is a Vanderbilt one, and this is also a different. The brothers of each, the men, were brothers of Marble House in this one.
And there is a Japanese garden in the Marble House.
Actually, Marble House, what happened was she divorced. She kept the building. Then she built something called the Chinese Tea House, which was actually for the ladies to get the right to vote. And they would drink tea because women in America didn't have the right to vote. And she was part of the movement to help them so they could get the right to vote. And she would have the ladies come and drink tea at what she called the Chinese Tea House. And it actually is really a pretty building. If you're at Marble House, it looks like a beautiful Chinese pagoda. It's very pretty. It's a very pretty building. But it was modeled after a Chinese symbol because anything not American was very
authentic.
It was very, everybody wanted it who had money because they wanted to show how wealthy they were so they could import beautiful things, but not copies. Like these are all copies, but real things. So I think why she chose that design was because it showed how wealthy and important she was. But actually she really did help women get the right to vote in our country here. But that's why it's a Chinese tea house there.
It is interesting that all the second-floor rooms open to the public, apart from Mr. Vanderbilt's, belong to the girls. From the feminine decorations, one might think that they're treated like little princesses, fragile. But man, the stories of Alice Vanderbilt, Alva Belmont, Gladys Vanderbilt Széchenyi, they were a force to be reckoned with. This 50 Shades of Pink was where Gertrude Vanderbilt grew up. See if you recognize the pose of her sculptures, later used as a symbol in the movie Titanic. One of the visitors who stood next to me exclaimed, "This is the founder of the Whitney Museum in New York City." She grew up so rich that they had another set of hot and cold water taps in the bath, but therefore salt water from the sea below, because bathing in salt water was considered good for your health. The breakers didn't shy away from the extreme privilege that the Vanderbilts had. I came downstairs like I did at the Elms, again to find the servants' quarters. I'm almost ready for a clam chowder. But there's one more breathtaking scene. It's hard not to think about wealth after seeing all that. I'm more accustomed to the idea of money is the root of all evil than to see the pleasure it brings. When used properly, the money spent to preserve beautiful things is actually constructive and valuable. I was so lucky to be able to appreciate Newport when it's quieter. Have some Rhode Island clam chowder and raw fish in my belly, right before the English weather caught up with me.